These pro-immigration activists have something to celebrate after the US Supreme Court rejected President Donald Trump's effort to end legal protections for 650,000 young immigrants. In 2012, President Barack Obama sought to address the issue of undocumented migrants by implementing a policy that would prevent those who entered the country as children and grew up there from being deported. The Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, known as DACA, also gave them permission to work. President Trump sought to end the policy in 2017 and was challenged by immigrant rights groups in a fight that ended up in the Supreme Court. In a 5-4 decision, Chief Justice John Roberts and the 4 liberal justices ruled the decision to end the program violated a federal law which states that the government cannot make policies that are arbitrary.
Well, one of the biggest stories today saw Scott Morrison revealing that Australia is under mass cyber attack from a foreign state targeting all levels of government, industry and critical infrastructure operators. And China is believed to be the likely source.
Absolutely. There's a couple of countries that have the capacity to do this. Russia and North Korea come to mind, but they don't really have the scale and they don't really have the motive. Those three things only come together with China. And of course, China has form. It's been doing this to Australia for years, going back to the hack on Parliament in 2011, the hack on the Bureau of Meteorology in 2016, on the ANU in 2018. They have form, and they're by far the largest cyber aggressor against Australia.
ये बहुत ही बड़ा स्पेस है, ऑलरेडी सेडेड है और इसमें हम वेरियस पार्टीशंस करके कई इंक्लोजर्स बना सकते हैं और उसमें हम ये प्रयास कर रहे हैं कि इसको एक अराउंड 10,000 बेडेड कैपेसिटी के मेकशिफ्ट हॉस्पिटल में कन्वर्ट कर सकें।
The French president has breached social distancing rules by touching Prince Charles on the arm during a face-to-face engagement in London. Ben Avery says Emmanuel Macron was allowed to bypass Britain's quarantine laws to enter the country.
Royal bows replacing handshakes at Clarence House. Social distancing was easy under wide umbrellas, until the French president forgot the rules. Prince Charles appearing more COVID conscious while hosting his first dignitary since the UK went into lockdown. Emmanuel Macron was invited to lay a wreath at the statue of Charles de Gaulle, 80 years after the French general appealed to his people from London to resist a German invasion. The anniversary marked with British and French military jets coming together, just like their country's leaders did to end World War II.
South Korea reported 49 new cases of COVID-19 on Friday. 26 of those were local transmissions in Seoul and Gyeonggi-do province, and 6 were in Daejeon. Cluster infections outside of Seoul, like the one in Daejeon, are causing concern among officials who say in some cases the route of the infection remains unknown. There were also 17 imported cases. Of those, at least 6 Bangladeshi nationals and 1 South Korean national tested positive after taking the same flight from Bangladesh. Total cases now stand at 12,306. There were no new deaths, leaving the death toll at 280.
Canada is marking a grim milestone today. This country has now topped 100,000 coronavirus cases. So far, more than 8,300 Canadians have died. There is some positive news, though. The average number of new daily cases across this country is on the decline and has been since May. And as of yesterday, more than 60% of all Canadian cases are considered recovered. As provinces continue to gradually lift restrictions and reopen their economies, it's important to take stock of where we've been, where we are now, and what we may have yet to face.
A sweeping global reassessment of history and racism triggered by the death of George Floyd is forcing major brands and companies to reflect on their own pasts. On Thursday, the Lloyd's of London insurance market apologised for its role in the Atlantic slave trade of the 18th and 19th centuries. It said it was sorry for the role played by the Lloyd's market in the slave trade, an appalling and shameful period of English history. The company added that recent events have shone a spotlight on the inequality that black people have experienced and unleashed difficult conversations that were long overdue. About 17 million African men, women and children were torn from their homes between the 15th and 19th centuries. Many died in merciless conditions. Lloyd's of London, which is now the world's leading commercial insurance market, started life in 1688.
No big movements, ok? Pas de mouvements brusques, parce que c'est très instable. Il y en a beaucoup de monde, hein? There is enough for everyone, so calm down.
Burundi's newly elected president was sworn in on Thursday after the sudden death of his predecessor Pierre Nkurunziza. Evariste Ndayishimiye was elected in May in a vote disputed by the opposition and was meant to take office in August. However, his inauguration was sped up after Nkurunziza's shocking death. In the administrative capital Gitega, guests began pouring into the stadium from early in the morning, wearing an identical multicolored outfit given to them by the ruling party and sitting according to their provinces. Diplomats, members of the military, police and courts took their seats in the upper platform of the stadium. Evariste Ndayishimiye knelt before religious authorities who prayed for him, charging the new president to bring back Burundians in exile and to reconnect with the international community for possible development aid.
Por favor, claro que sí, para los colombianos. Bueno, decirles a todos que seguimos.
Y después llamaron una vez a mi hija y hablaron de una suma de, creo que primero hablaron de 1.000 millones de pesos.
The story of adventurer Christopher McCandless has inspired people to find themselves in the wilderness for more than 2 decades. But the wrecked bus, made famous by the 1996 book and 2007 movie Into the Wild, based on his life, was airlifted from a remote trail outside Denali National Park in Alaska on Thursday. Alaska officials said that too many people were putting themselves at risk trekking to the remote site where McCandles died of starvation in 1992. Over the years, several people making pilgrimages to the bus became injured or stranded themselves. 2 even died, drowned in river crossings. In April, a stranded Brazilian tourist was evacuated, and in February, 5 Italian tourists were rescued.